Hey everyone, today we're diving deep into Godot for signal system. We'll start with the basics and work our way up to some more advanced techniques, and by the end of this tutorial you'll be a pro at handling signals in Godot 4. So without further ado, let's get started with the most basic example. Alright, so first let's talk about what signals are. Now in Godot, signals are a way for nodes to communicate with each other. Think of them as events that nodes can emit and other nodes will be able to listen to. So let's look at a built-in signal. So I have Godot open right here. So let's go ahead and make a new 2D scene. And we want to add a button to this. Then over here in the top right, we have node. And in here, we also have signals. Now, in Godot, there are a lot of pre-built signals in buttons or controls or a whole bunch of different nodes. In our case, we'll take a look at the pressed example. So we want to go ahead and make sure we also have a script set up so that it knows where to place the actual signal. So for that, we will just create a new script on the root node here. Then for a bit of easy use, we make the button a bit larger and we make sure we can click it easily. Then what we want to do is we go back to the node, we make sure we are on signals, and then when we click on pressed, we click twice. We can see that we can actually add it to our script now, and this will be the name of the method. So we just hit connect, and we can see that it is now listening because we have this icon over here that makes sure that we know that it is connected properly, and this also indicates that it's a signal and it has a connection. So in this example of a button, we'll just simply print something like I was clicked. So now when we actually run this code, we can see that once we click the button, the signal is emitted and we actually get a button press in here and we do whatever is behind this function right here. Alright, so now let's create a custom signal where we place it in our own script and we attach it. So in order to do this, we want to simply go ahead and come up here and we make a new signal. I'll name it my custom signal for now. We can also pass some parameters in here. So I'll just do p1, p2 for 2 parameters. Then in our ready function, we want to make sure in this example to actually emit a signal. In our case, we will be using our own signals. So we put the first parameter as the name of our signal here. And then we have to pass the amount of parameters we have set up, in our case 2, so I'll just do hello world. And then we want to make sure we connect the signal onto our script here and then onto a function that we want to do something with when the signal is actually emitted. So we type connect, the name of our signal. Then we want to make sure we also pass in the callable, so what will be called, so this will be their own script here. And then we also want to actually pass a function which will be called when we actually emit the signal. So we actually need to do it like this. We wrap it in a callable since that was changed apparently in some of the latest updates. So we put it in a callable, we do self, so we make sure it looks in this script for this function right here, which we will create right now. We make sure we also pass in both of these parameters here that we have set up in the top in our signal. And then we can just simply go ahead and print something right now. This is just for an easy example here. So what we can do is we make sure to run this scene. And now because we call the emit signal here at the top, we only have to run it for it to, well, run. So we can go ahead and restart this scene. Alright, so I made a little bit of a rookie mistake here. We actually want to make sure we connect our signal to the function before calling the signal. So that was quite an interesting mistake. But now when we run this, we will see that we actually go ahead and get into our function here. And we also pass the parameters, which will also be shown right here. So that was a very basic example of a custom signal, but this is easily expandable, and I think you get the concept right now. So let's just continue with connecting signals between different nodes. Alright, so for this example, I'm going to make two new scripts. We'll call one node A and one node B. So we will now be connecting signals between nodes. So in this case, we'll go to node A, and we want to add a signal right over here, which we will call in the B node. So we make a new signal, a node A signal with a message. We can get rid of the process. In the ready, we want to actually emit the signal, obviously, and we want to go ahead and emit it to the B node right here. So we want to emit our node A signal with a message. So hello from node A. Then over in the node B script, we can go ahead and in the ready here, we want to get a reference to the script of the A node. Then we want to connect the signal from the A node onto the signal that is in this file. So we reference the signal we made in the node A script. We do the callable self and then the function in this function, or in this script, sorry. So on node A signal, and then we make a function called on node A signal with a message, since we have that in our signal. And then we simply print a node B received message, right? So now we have set up the signal in here, which we are emitting, and then node B will listen to that signal, and once it's emitted, we simply execute this function, and we will get this message. Before we do this, we want to make sure we attach these scripts to some nodes. In our case, we'll just use simple node2ds here, where one will be node A and one will be node B. We make sure we attach the scripts. There we go. And then now when we run this code again, we will see, oh, my bad, I need to do it like that because we named it differently. Alright, so I just ran the code and it didn't work, and that is, or I think it is because the script in node A here was being called after node B was initialized. So because of signals not working when obviously one is not initialized, we want to make sure that we call the emit signal after everything has been initialized. So everything in the ready or in every script. So in order to do that, we can use the call deferred function, which will, like it says over here, it will only call it when the time is idle, and this ensures that the node A emits the signal only after all nodes have been initialized and their ready functions have been called. So we wrap it in a call deferred, then we want to tell Godot use this function, so emit signal in our case, and then the name of our signal, and then our message. So we didn't change anything in node B here, so now when we run the code, we can actually see that it also received hello from node A, which tells us that the signal is being sent from node A over to node B, and then we can do something in our B script here with the node A. Alright, so now let's tackle a more advanced scenario, connecting signals to nodes that are created dynamically. So first what we want to do is we want to create a script that will simply be named dynamic node creator just for this example, but obviously you want to use it in your code where you actually do something dynamic and you make nodes dynamically. So I'll just make the script. So we do this, and then we want to call it dynamic node creator, like I said. Then we can go in here and we want to make sure we also make a new scene here, which we will call dynamic node for simplicity. So we want a reference to this. This shouldn't be a const actually. There we go. And then in our ready function, we want to make sure we initialize this scene. Instantiate. We make sure we add the node over to our child tree here. So we make sure it's added to our scene. And then we want to go ahead and connect our dynamic signal. So in this case, we can go ahead and do new node.connect. And then we want to make the signal dynamic signal. We do the callable self and then our method that we will be making in this function. Alright, so then in our dynamic node scene, we want to make sure we create a new script. We'll call this dynamic node. And in here, we want to define the signal with a message. And then in our ready function, we want to emit this signal. Alright, so before I forget, we make the function. So the onDynamic signal, we have a message that is passed, and then we simply print this message as well. So, wow, I can't type right now. Received message, and then the message. And then over in our dynamic node scene or script here, we want to also make sure this is being deferred. So we can call deferred. And then emit signal. And then the dynamic signal. We need to put this in quotes actually. And then our message. So hello from this dynamic node, whatever. And now when we run this code, we get the we get the message right here that shows us that this is actually working as we intended. So we have the node here with the script attached of the creator, so the dynamic node creator, and then we can new node connect. We use the dynamic signal, which we have set up in our other script. Now, because we instantiate this before connecting, we can actually reference the signal in our other file here. So then we do something based on that signal. In our case, the onDynamic signal here, which simply just prints a message. And then in this script, we call the signal. And that way, when we actually use it to instantiate that scene, we simply get this message right here because we have the signal set up, right? Alright, so now let's talk about disconnecting signals when we are done with them. Especially for dynamically created nodes, this can be easy and efficient to do because we won't have any unused signals laying around in our game, which might cause some performance issues or whatever. So let's modify our code here. And one way to do this is we can simply go ahead and call our dynamic signal multiple times. So what we can do is we can come over here and we emit the signal of the dynamic signal with a first message, and then we do the same for a second time, which will be the second message. So in this case, we emit the signal twice, and then we want to go ahead and disconnect the signal. So we do that by simply typing new node.disconnect. We want to make sure we reference the signal here and then a callable to what we actually want to detach from. So in our case, the onDynamic signal function. And then when we copy this emit signal again, but this time for the third message, we will see that we won't ever get this signal because we have disconnected from that signal before we emit it another time. So when we run this code, we will see that we receive a message, first message, and also the second message, but then because we disconnect, we don't get the third message. And this is because the signal is disconnected before the third emission. And there you have it. We've covered everything from a basic signal to some advanced techniques like dynamic connections and signal management. Now remember, signals are a powerful tool in Godot 4 for creating responsive and event-driven games. So practice these concepts and you'll be a master in no time. So if you have any questions regarding this, please let me know in the comments or go and join my Discord. Ask the questions there and I will help you further. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.